Chapter 94. You are listening at novelfull.audio. She has been completely transformed into a vampire. Fang Qingyan's blood was flowing in his body. Moreover, the sea of Fa has also reached boundlessness. This is for you, so you can become a demigod as soon as possible. Fang Qingyan looked serious and handed her a sea condensation stepping divine pill. Caroline nodded and reached out to take it with a solemn expression. What was in her hand was not only a pill, but also a mission. After 100 years, they will meet him. In this way, time passed day by day. With the continuous supply of resources, Li Wangsheng, Angel and Caroline have made rapid progress. Finally, one day 50 years later, Li Wangsheng was the first to break through the demigods and condense Fa high into a physical object. Another 20 years later, Angel achieved a successful breakthrough. In 10 years, Caroline will become a demigod. At this point, the Twilight Hermits already have 4 demigods, which is definitely the most luxurious lineup among the fighting heavens in history. There are still 20 years to go. When Li Wangsheng and others asked Fang Qingyan what his plans were next, he smiled and said he didn't have any plans. In his little world, even if you practice to the limit, you can only reach the half-step god realm. And the 4 of them have already reached it. Everything is ready, just waiting for him to show up. Everyone promised to meet again in 20 years. Later, Fang Qingyan took Elizabeth, Patricia, and Caroline to travel around the world, sightseeing, and experiencing the customs of hundreds of ethnic groups. Caroline had to go with her life and death. She was too dependent on Fang Qingyan now, and she couldn't do it without him. In 20 years, they traveled to every corner of the world and saw all the mountains and rivers. It seems that everyone has forgotten their identity, the existence of him, and the depression and suffocation brought about by the end of the world. I am in love with the mountains and rivers, am happy to miss Shu, and enjoy my leisurely and comfortable time. The sunset is infinitely beautiful, but it's almost dusk, and after dusk, darkness will spread. This was the time when Elizabeth smiled the most and was the most beautiful since she was a child. Fang Qingyan, on the other hand, was also consciously checking in at different places, wanting to see if he could try his luck and get a few more artifacts and other treasures. Huang Tian paid off. One day in the last year, Fang Qingyan signed in and got another good thing. Burning God Lamp is its name, another mid-level artifact, an ancient oil lamp. The oil in it is the oil of the gods refined from the refinement of a middle god, and the light of the lamp is eternal. It exudes the extremely terrifying aura of the law of fire, which makes one's heart palpitate. Its power is equivalent to a full blow from a lower god, and the oil inside is enough to be used 3 to 4 times. Fang Qingyan has another big killing weapon, but it's also the last one, because the era of the holy fall is finally coming. Last day, night, the moonlight is hazy and the night is as cold as water. Fang Qingyan and Elizabeth were wandering side by side on a lawn, looking at the moon in the sky. Neither of them spoke, just listening to each other's breathing, their hearts filled with happiness. I will set off tomorrow. In the end, it was Fang Qingyan who broke the silence. I know. Elizabeth looked at him with aqua blue eyes and said softly, I will wait for you to come back. It's a long journey, and it may take some time to go back and forth. Fang Qingyan pursed his lips, his eyes filled with confusion. When Elizabeth heard this, a flash of light flashed in her beautiful eyes. She shook her head and said, That's not possible. You have to come back quickly. I don't care. I can wait for you as long as I want, but some people can't say. Huh? Fang Qingyan was stunned and asked doubtfully, Who is it? Where is it? Are you kidding me? Besides Elizabeth, who else in the world dares to be angry with him? Here. Elizabeth's eyes narrowed into crescent shapes, and she stretched out her hand shyly, pointing to her belly. Click. A thunderbolt flew through Fang Qingyan's mind. He was stunned for 3 seconds, and then a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. Really? Vampires have a long lifespan, but it is extremely difficult to produce offspring. Now Elizabeth is pregnant. He's going to be a dad. For a moment, Fang Qingyan's heart trembled, and his mood suddenly became chaotic. He is a time traveler. This is a duckweed with no roots, no support, no worries, no relatives, and no friends. But now, he no longer wanders with the wind and waves. In this world, he has a lover, a partner, a family. In the near future, he will also have a lovely daughter or son. Unconsciously, he has taken root here, and his soul has found a sense of belonging. This is no longer a different world, but Fang Qingyan's home, his hometown. A feeling of emotion welled up in my heart. Fang Qingyan took a deep breath and said to Elizabeth seriously, I want you to promise that even if I risk my life, I will come back with victory. After that, he lowered his head and said in a soft voice, Father promises you that he will come back soon. With tears in her eyes, Elizabeth leaned on his shoulder. At this moment, Fang Qingyan wished that he could freeze the time of the entire world and the entire universe and freeze it at this moment forever. Emperor Wu and Emperor Fox have arrived. Ugh! Caroline suddenly broke in and broke the silence. She looked at the sweetness of the two and couldn't help but feel embarrassed and slightly jealous. However, she knew that Elizabeth's position as the first wife was unshakable, so she could only lower her head and stammer, yes. I'm sorry, I came at the wrong time. I'll go first, you continue, don't worry about me. Humble. I'm so humble. Caroline felt wronged, and her big eyes were filled with tears. Fang Qingyan looked back at her, and suddenly smiled and stretched out his hand to Caroline. No, you came at the right time. Caroline was ecstatic and wanted to rush over immediately, but she still carefully looked at Elizabeth's expression. Seeing that Elizabeth didn't say anything, she jumped to Fang Qingyan's left with joy. Left and right are as beautiful as flowers and jade, with stunning faces, one arm for each person, there won't be enough for one more. You are all my wings. Fang Qingyan smiled, with the first ray of sunlight breaking at dawn, the morning light sprinkled from the clouds, the era of the holy fall has finally arrived. Chapter 109. Above the void, there is an endless universe, there are stars and moons above, and a thick sea of clouds underfoot. Buzz, the space twisted, 4 figures appeared here, 2 men and 2 women, one of whom was an octogenarian. Fang Qingyan turned his head and swept his eyes over Caroline, Li Wangsheng, and Angel one by one, saying seriously, everyone, we must leave this world and take the initiative to find him, otherwise once a fight breaks out, the world will be annihilated by the aftermath of the law. But the Shikigami of this world will prevent us from leaving, and a fierce battle will inevitably break out soon. It's all up to the Green Emperor. Li Wangsheng said in an old voice, we will follow you to the death. If I fall behind, you can continue to move forward, and there is no need to turn back to save me. Angel said seriously. Caroline's eyes were filled with fighting spirit, and she said, I will follow you closely. Seeing that the 3 had expressed their opinions, Fang Qingyan nodded, without hesitation, and raised his hand and snapped his fingers. The space of the entire world was distorted with a hum, and the 4 demigods disappeared in an instant. Last time, Fang Qingyan's soul flew out of the world, but this time, his body was going to pass through the world barrier and take the 4 people out of this small world. Roar. A fierce roar exploded the eardrums. Just as the 4 were about to reach the world barrier, a terrifying breath of laws came. Caroline looked back and her face changed slightly. Dozens and hundreds of Shikigami tore through the space and chased after them to intercept the 4 guys who wanted to escape from prison. These Shikigami all exuded the aura of demigods, and they were all at the same level as Lilith number 1001 who Fang Qingyan killed last time. As it happens, Lilith was not among them. The ancestor of the blood clan should have been killed forever by Fang Qingyan. None of these Shikigami have self-awareness. The reason why all of them are dispatched should be similar to an automatic interception mechanism. What should we do? Angel's eyes were extremely solemn. There are too many of them. If we fight here, it will affect the world. Fang Qingyan narrowed his eyes, then shook his head and said, no, these Shikigami will not destroy the world. They just want to intercept us and pull us into another space. He could take the 4 people and escape directly. With the law of space, the Shikigami cannot catch up, but it is obvious that the 4 people did not intend to escape. Then clean them all up first. Li Wangsheng's old voice was full of unquestionable tyranny. It's time to make it clear about the grievances that have been entangled with these Shikigami for billions of years. If it was still Wu Bianfahai, seeing so many demigod-level Shikigami rushing over, it would probably be scared to the point of weakness.